All right, thanks, Ryan. And here are our results. Elise Cranny, who we just heard from, 30-36. Waina Kaladi in second.
Yeah, no national records today, but really great racing. I mean, anytime you see a 10,000 where the top two athletes are separated by 2 seconds, always fun. Great debut by Courtney Wayman back there, 31:43. Debut from Ali Bahalski as well, 31:52. Hertenstein making that move over to Pete Julian. Seems to be working out well for her. Love seeing Vestry and Frazier back on the track. Laura Galvan, the Mexican national champion. Not her day, not any for the rest of those on that screen either, but sometimes you just got to get out there. You got to take a crack. That's sometimes the frustrating piece of the 10,000 is you just get such limited opportunities. You got to put your best foot forward. And as we say that, we'll turn to a lot of men trying to put their best foot forward tonight.
And an amazingly deep field doing their final strides. You see our competitors here. We talked at the top of the show about Graham Blanks running for New Balance now. This will be his second race as a pro, his first outdoors. The two-time NCAA champion in cross country, a sub-13 runner indoors. You see Sean McGorty there wearing hip number 6, longtime Bowerman competitor and U.S. team member at the World Championships. The depth here, there's Graham Blanks. This race sets up to be a tremendous competition, and I just can't wait. I just want to jump forward 20 laps and see who's going to make a move with 2K to go.
You know, shout out our graphics team for that great graphic, 100% accurate. Graham Blanks, and it's got his PR listed at 28:15 in the 10,000. 28:15. That's what guys in the B heat were running, right? Like, that's what he ran in a hot and humid day in Austin. He went 7:29 in the 3,000. He went 12:59 in the 5,000, all in the last couple months. You got to imagine at the very least that 28:15 is about to get obliterated tonight.
Center of the screen there is Drew Hunter. Comes out of high school as what was supposed to be a generational miler. A year ago, steps onto this track in the second heat, blows the field away. Later last summer, one place away from the Olympic team. Drew Hunter is now a 10,000 meter runner, and he's going up against an A field here. Very intriguing, and his juices have got to be flowing heading into this one.
Yeah, you know, if you can be a hot shot miler, be a hot shot miler. But when that starts running out on you, the 10,000 will call to you, and it did to Drew Hunter last year when he came out of the B heat and ran a spectacular race. Now he's got to run with the big boys. He did it at the Olympic trials, almost made his way onto a team in that last 100 meters. So he is going to be interesting to watch as we see my personal favorite in this race, who I think is very, very dangerous on the inside, Telehun Bekele. He has run 12:42 for 5,000. So we mentioned it's a little hotter today, a little humid. We may not see quite the speed that we've seen in years past, that drawn out, that fast, for 25 laps type race. We may see more of a tactical affair as these guys try to suss each other out, get used to what an international class 10,000 might feel like at a World Championships or an Olympics. This is about as close of a field as you're going to find outside of those two events to get ready for those sorts of races.
Bekele with the very impressive Diamond League record over multiple distances, including third at Brussels last year in 12:45. Today will be a rematch from NCAA cross country with Habtom Samuel up against Graham Blanks. There is Habtom Samuel in a hookah kit.
Yeah, he's got that NIL deal. So question mark, is this a debut for him, or is he coming back to run in a University of New Mexico kit? I don't know. Does this count as an NCAA record? I'll tell you this. He was 2 seconds off it chasing Nico Young last year. He'll be chasing the shadow of Nico Young this year, trying to get under 27 minutes again. Him and Vilch got the 2 sub-27-minute racers in this event.
Let's hear from Ryan Fenton as we line up these gentlemen.
Hey guys, down here at the track, and we're waiting for this race to get started. We're about 2 minutes delayed, and that reason was because Habtom Samuel did not have his bib number on. He ran off the starting line to go get it before the meet director could yell to him and tell him it was actually okay, he didn't actually need it. But he's back on the starting line, they're lining him back up, and we should be getting going here in just a minute.
And we are back with this amazing field lined up. Back with this amazing field lined up. And we are underway in the Tokyo 10K.
And I mean, this is why, Kevin, not to speak for you, but I think to speak for you here, this is why we make the trip, right? I mean, we got to see that incredible women's race. Now we get the men's race. I mean, both of those races back to back is just such a treat for any track fan. Even though we didn't see the American record on the women's side, we still get such a great battle between Cranny and Kaladi. I mean, that alone is enough to make the trip worthwhile. And now we have such a great field of men assembled to race. So what's going on there? Viltskut looking out to the outside. That's some interesting already trying to get a little bit of positioning maybe? I don't know. Everybody seems to want to be at the front. This is an interesting start.
And dare I say, it's tactical early.
Yeah.
So as our athletes kind of position behind Josh Thompson or don't position behind Josh Thompson, Graham Blanks is up for the pacing as the field sorts themselves out.
Yeah, Graham Blanks is hearing Eminem come on the speakers, and he said, I don't know what the rest of these guys are doing, but I'm trying to run fast today. Follow me.
Yeah, that flight needs to be worthwhile for Graham Blanks. He is tucked in behind our rabbits. See McGordy there. And Viltskut, if I'm not mistaken, in third.
Second position behind Blanks, fourth, you're right, fourth position overall. We've got the two rabbits taking the pace up front. That green light is 27 flat. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. And it looked like a little bit of hesitation on who wanted to follow the Pacers, but now no question marks. Everybody is on their feet. We've got Graham Blanks tucked behind the Pacers, Viltskut behind him. We've got McGordy, we've got Ahmed. We just have a who's who of 10,000 meter races.
Santa Clara alum Joey Barriatua is our second pacer with Josh Thompson.
You know, you noticed that Habtom Samuel doesn't have a collegiate kit on, but you know who does? The late entrant, Casey Klinger, up there with the BYU kit. I just saw his team down in Austin racing Texas Relays. Either Casey Klinger missed his flight or he's excited to be here.
Casey Klinger has the conversation with the coach, and Eyestone gets the ticket to California. So we are lined up in a single file fashion and ready to roll. And Hayden, we've got word that we may be adding a 26:45 light at some point in the race.
Oh, let's not even talk about that yet. That might show up at 5,000. Let's see. We've had some issue with the fast race. It's just not as cold as it's been in years past, which really helps these guys in the longer races. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But Blanks and Viltskut right there, McGordy right on them. We've got Muhammad, we've got Klinger, we've got Kemboy, just all the way through the line. So many guys. We've got national record holders in the back of this pack. Tavate from Thailand. I mean, this is an international class field. There's no other way to say it. Outside of the World Championships and the Olympic Games, this has got to be your best 10,000 meter field.
So one record that is under threat is the Division II record. Roman Legendry, who ran 13:02 at BU.
Didn't start. I don't have a result. Maybe he's back there. I might be missing him, but I've got him as a DNS.
Isn't coming up on the splits so
You know
far.
what though? Dylan Maggard is in this race though. I saw him earlier this morning, and he's not coming up in the splits. So we might have some issues with the splits, which is all right. Early stages of the race. We definitely have all these guys in a line as you start to see them split up just a little bit there at the back.
Habtom Samuel sits in about 15th, but he's just in line at the moment.
Yeah, right now there's really no bad place to be, right? I mean, everybody's lined up. It obviously helps to be up front. I mean, if you're anybody, you want to be where Graham Blanks is, of course. You want to be tucked in right behind the Pacers. You can make an argument that you'd rather be where Viltskut is, because when the Pacers drop off eventually, you're farther back.
So
but everybody here is running fast.
We're just under 65s, 4:19.1 through 4 laps. Josh Thompson, Barriatua, perfect pacing at the moment in the blue zone.
So last year we saw, on the women's side, we saw Sergey Salama of OAC just run away with it, right? And then we saw the men's race where it was 10 dudes all in the pack with 300 meters to go. So fast forward to this year, we got a little bit more competition in the last 200 meters on the women's side. At least Cranny Kaladi going head-to-head, just 2 seconds off. Looking at this pack, what do you think we're going to get? Are we going to get the 10 guys coming into the last lap all together? Are we going to get a Sergey Salama just run away, absolutely dominant finish? Or are we going to see a duo battle it out like we saw with Cranny and Kaladi?
My expectation would be veterans against the rookie, where Wildschut, and when I say veterans, I mean at this distance, Wildschut and Samuel right with Graham late in the race. But as I say that, Sean McGorty looks particularly good early in this race as we're past 2,000.
And maybe he's mad he didn't make the graphic, you know?
And a guy that has been there at championships, but not a lot of time trials in recent years. So always a gamer, though. So McGorty asserting himself early. Hard to count out Casey Klinger, too, where has a tremendous resume as a collegiate.
Yeah, and you know who's running really well right now? I mean, looking at 7th place, Ahmed Muhammad was just 4th at the U.S. Half Championships. He won 5 road races in a row earlier this season all across the United States. I talked to his coach, Jack Mulaney, about him the other day. He says he's just on a mission right now, and it's hard to beat a guy on a mission. Muhammad just gets better and better every single race as he works near the front of this group.
So similar to the way that the spike race started, we've got the pack, and different than any race we've seen so far, there's big resumes back in the train, where the expectation would be that a Habtom Samuel, for example, who sits in 10th place roughly, is going to be a factor in this race.
Yeah, you talk about big resumes. We got Muhammad Ishmael entered in this race, a national record holder, an African champion, a world 5,000 meter finalist in 2023, qualified for 4 world championships, 2 Olympics, holds the national record from 3K to 10K. I mean, we haven't talked about him because he's not near the front.
Another rookie to consider, Ishmael Kipkurui. He's 20, but hard to call him a rookie, as with world junior bronzes and a ton of international experience now at New Mexico. He is right behind Habtom Samuel, so it's a training session for these two gentlemen early.
Near the front, we've also got Eamon Kemboy. He's riding in 9th place right now. I mean, everybody, it's hard to say near the front because I would consider that whole pack near the front. Kemboy, 3-time first-team All-American while at Campbell before transferring over to Arkansas, SEC champion in 2021. Arkansas legend. I mean, 11 All-Americans at Arkansas and then a top 50 mark all-time in the indoor 5K. He's running with his teammate here, Patrick Deaver. They're looking to do something special.
8:05 at 3K. About 4 seconds separates our top 15. So now it's Barry Atua up front.
You know, I mentioned talking to the NAZ coach, Jack Mulaney, about Ahmed Muhammad. I also asked him about Adrian Wildschut. He gave me one word: stud. Dude's run sub-27 Olympic Games, and he is right behind Blanks, and I do not think he's going to let him go easy.
8:38 at 3,200 meters. Blanks, Wildschut, McGorty, Bekele, Muhammad, Klinger.
Yeah, McGorty would really like to get under that 27-minute mark. He's run 27:18, was a world's finalist in 2022, 5K champ in the NCAA. But that 27:18 at the 10, I mean, that's a great race. He was 4th place, but something tells me Sean McGorty looks at that and goes, I can do better. I can do better. I can be up with these guys. I want to be in the front of Olympic fields. I mean, I spent half my life training with Grant Fisher. He's got an Olympic medal. Where's mine?
Yeah, this appears to be an opportunity for McGorty, and he is running with a different purpose this evening.
Yeah, looking back, Samuel looks good. He's running alongside his teammate, Kipkurui. They're in about 8th or 9th, maybe 10th. Still just anybody could be in the mix up there. But we are starting to see, before we see the breakaways up front, we always see a little bit of the carnage, if you will, off the back. We're starting to get a chase pack with 7 guys, maybe about 15 meters off your leaders, and you're just starting to see every lap. You lose a guy, you lose 2 guys. We're losing Brian Barraza right now from that lead pack. It just slowly whittles its way down. I've talked to athletes about the 10,000, and especially coaching athletes at this level, they go, what do I need to do? And I always say, you don't make the 10,000 happen. The 10,000 happens to you. So you just sit there, stay as relaxed and as comfortable as possible for as long as you can.
Let's go down to Ryan Fenton as we approach the midway point.
All right, guys, we're coming up on 15 to go. And if you look here, in 5th place, you see Telehud Haile Bekele. Now, he's right there in that mix, right on 27-minute pace. But what happened at the start with Habtom Samuel threw some things off. The runners were allowed to go do some strides when Habtom was coming back with his bib. They lined the runners back up, the race started, and 2 runners were not on the starting line. If you look at the replay, they were about 100 meters back. Bekele took about 5 minutes to work himself back up through the pack, and he's now sitting in 5th place. If this man runs sub 27 minutes, just keep in mind he did it running 10,000 and 110 meters tonight.
We're watching Habtom Samuel take steps towards the front. Currently in 6th place, Casey Klinger right there with him. Bekele in 5th. McGorty, Vilchit, and Blanks holding their positions in the top 5. So some splintering off the back, as you mentioned, Hayden. But for all intents and purposes, our players are there on the green lights.
Yeah, so we're starting to see 2 lights now, right? So we've got the blue lights are for the Pacers. We'll ignore those. Green lights at 27 flat. Farther back, we've also got white lights at 27:30. And the men are being a lot more aggressive than the women. We saw the women kind of make their decisions pretty early about where they wanted to be. I don't know if it's just the different athletes in the field or different expectations, but a lot of guys have decided to go with this 27 flat world standard up front. It's still early enough that we're not sure how long that's going to hold on. Maybe we see more carnage. Maybe we see people go a little too deep on the front 5K, but at the very least, I think we'll see a couple guys run pretty quick, as we might already be losing a rabbit here. Time for Graham Blanks.
The last time Graham Blanks was attempting this distance was at NCAAs in Austin under much different circumstances, tougher conditions. But tonight is a tougher field, and he is our leader. I didn't necessarily expect to see Graham Blanks up front at this point as we approach 5,000.
I agree with you, and I'm going to say something that people might disagree with. I don't like it. I don't like it. The 22-year-old who's not really used to international class 10,000 meter races going to the front. I mean, we know he's tough, right? Back-to-back national champion in cross country. You don't do that if you're not tough as nails. And we're starting to see, look at the front, that red light, as you mentioned earlier. Let's see if people start trying to run sub 27, but Blanks is being pretty aggressive right now, and you know who's calm, collected in this race? He doesn't need a mark. Vilchit's here to race. Bekele right there. Samuel right there. Muhammad McGorty right there. They covered the move very, very quickly. I think that gives you an insight to how good some of those guys are feeling rolling along at a casual 13:30 5K pace.
So they hit that mark right on, and red doesn't mean stop for Graham Blanks. And he looks absolutely amazing, but I've got that fear in my gut because they are lined up and ready right behind him.
Yeah, I mean, 22 years old, and the guy right behind you just ran at the Olympic Games. The guy behind that has been 4th in the world. I know he doesn't worry about Habtom Samuel. Those two have gone head-to-head so many times. Graham's got the better of him a couple times, but I mean, Graham's certainly trying to do this the hard way. Let's put it that way.
So Graham Blanks on that ripping pace. And as soon as they hit that 13:30, he almost seemed to he took off and just hammered it out. 64.5 on the last circuit. We're inside of 11.
I'll tell you this, if Graham doesn't win this race, he's gonna certainly make the race for a lot of other guys. And you know what? Something we missed right off the start is Habtom Samuel and Bekele got tied up a little bit in the early part of the race that Ryan Fenton was talking about. So I think we're gonna get you a video of that in a minute. But look, we got a slight rearrangement at the front. Blanks is gonna get some help from Bekele.
So the pace has slowed slightly as Bekele has gone to the front. And we'll see a shot of confusion early where athletes were missed the start and had to put in an extra 90 meters at 10K pace. And now back to the front is Bekele. So we're thinking that with Bekele, you saw on that missed start was Drew Hunter, and Hunter still in the race is among our chasers, just off of this group that is in the neighborhood of 12 competitors. Ishmael Kipkurui now into position, and he is an intriguing piece of this race at 20. A medalist in World Cross right there behind McGordy, running in 7th and in contention.
So I'll admit it, Kevin, I got my prediction wrong in the women's race when I said I thought Kaladi was gonna take it and you took Craney. We were both close. I'll give myself 2 seconds. Well, I picked Bekele for this one, and he's at the front right now doing the work for Blanks. And I'll tell you this, I don't like it. I mean, somebody's got to go to the front, right? Somebody's got to make the race happen, but I really like where Vilskit is. I really like where Samuel is. I really like where Muhammad is, biding their time. It's going to get hard later. You don't need to make it too hard this early. So with that many guys in the pack, I think if you're at the pointy end of it, I'd be a little concerned.
12:42 credentials at the front of this race. Graham Blanks in a true international situation here. And behind him are athletes that look absolutely superb. Vilskut among them. Habtom Samuel in great position.
Yeah, we talked about Kaladi being 8th in Paris. Vilskut was 10th. And is Bekele looking for a little bit of help? Okay, that's all. He's not stepping off. He just wants somebody else. And the boy from Georgia, Graham Blanks, Athens Academy, not afraid of it at all. Ooh, little chippy with Bekele and Samuel. We've got a little bit of rubbing shoulders here, more than you usually see in a 10,000. A lot of track out here, gentlemen. Relax.
Ahmed Muhammad is in a sneaky 5th position at the moment. Kipkurui right behind him.
And Blanks continues to lead. Vilskut right behind Bekele in 3rd, Samuel in 4th, Muhammad in 5th. That's the University of New Mexico athlete Ishmael Kipkurui. And then I think Golveer Singh of ADP Team India rounding out that lead group while Casey Klinger tries to cling on.
So just to rewind a minute to our missed start, we think it may have been Simon Bedard, the French athlete who's a Big East champ while at Butler, and not Drew Hunter. But back to the front is Graham Blanks.
So we haven't talked about Golveer Singh. We haven't said his name one time. He's currently sitting in 7th place representing India. He's run 27:14. He did that at Japan in 2024. He's the Indian record holder in the 3K, the 5K, the 10K. Not only that, but he did it all in the span of 4 months. That is some wild, wild racing. Really impressive and unbelievable results. First Indian and Asian under 13 in the 5K. trying to be amongst the sub-27 guys as well.
So we see some rotation, we see some negotiation, we see some compromise. When we're looking at closing speed here, as we pass the 20-minute mark, who's the scariest player up front?
It's too early. It's simply too early to talk about closing speed. I think what's interesting is we're starting to see a little bit more separation than we've seen in years past. Last year we had some more guys in this race. I think we're about to lose Singh, we're about to lose Klinger. So that gives us 6 guys. Blanks, Vilskut, Bekele, and Samuel have been the most active. But that doesn't necessarily tell us anything because Muhammad and Kipkurui have been right there looking smooth. Thinking about who's saved energy in this race.
Outside of the occasional mid-65, Graham Blanks has been nails on those mid to high 64 laps.
Yeah, but they're starting to lose those lights just a little bit. So question mark here, does somebody go to the front, be the sacrificial lamb, help Graham Blanks out, and get this going? Samuel's thinking about it. He's run shoulder to shoulder with Graham Blanks a lot. Those two know how to race together. I think Samuel's decided, hey, I don't care as much about winning this race. I want to go get the lights. Why are we slowing down? This is the farthest back we've seen Blanks in the race so far. I really worry about him spending so much of the early running doing the pace work. I think he's going to pay for it on the back end, and this might be the beginning.
You can't question the amount of work and breaking of wind that Graham Blanks has done now into 4th with Habtom Samuel on the green lights. Graham Blanks on the previous lap was at high 65s. Samuel goes 64.5.
I mean, this is one of those stats that I just have to throw out there because just about every collegiate man runs an 8,000. I think most are happy to break 25 minutes. These guys just came through in 21:38. 21:38, that is disgustingly fast. Love seeing it. Samuel pushing the pace right now, Bekele on him, Vilskut on him, Blanks right there, Kipkurui right there. And I'm missing Golvier. Singh has found his way back up. Oh, not quite. No, that's Muhammad. They're on the opposite side of the track. That's Muhammad still staying right there behind Kipkurui. So 6 guys now left in the race, coming through with 4 to go. And push it real good is coming on the PA speaker right now, and that is apt as Bekele is coming back to do some work. You know who hasn't done any work? Vilskut. Sitting right there. He stayed right in second, followed whoever goes to the front, and seems perfectly happy about it.
Vilskut, a stubborn, aggressive approach this evening.
Yeah, he's written the South African record books. He ran 26:55 for 6th last year. Just wasn't really right in the position at the end. I talked to Mulaney and asked, why run this race? You have the standard. Why bother running the 10,000? He just wants to get a little bit more comfort running in, quote, sub-27-minute races, which happened, obviously, at the Olympics. I don't know if we'll get sub-27. We're certainly going to be close to it. We need some big kicks. But just getting comfort racing against guys that are going to be in those international caliber fields.
The collegiate record is under threat at the moment, where Kipkurui stays tight on Graham Blanks. Now Graham Blanks and Habtom Samuel communicating with 3 to go.
And you know, I've given Blanks a lot of slack throughout this race, going to the front, doing a lot of work. Maybe it was an experience. He looks great right now. I mean, he just came through our commentary position. He looks so good. If anybody in that group, it looks like they're starting to struggle, it's Muhammad, who's now losing a step on Kipkurui. But the 2 New Mexico teammates, Samuel and Kipkurui, still very much in this mix.
And this relaxing of pace, if you will, at 65.2 on the most recent circuit, demonstrates that we could see a setup for a close, the anticipated close by these 5.
Well, we saw that last year, right? They lost the lights a little bit with 1,200 to go. Maybe not quite by this much, but they lost the lights, and Fisher obviously had that incredible close to shut it down and put people in his rearview mirror. But now it's 5 guys. I think Kipkurui is starting to struggle. I think this becomes a 4-man race. And is this the move from Wildskut? He's going to the front, trying to get the lights. Samuel is sticky on him, and Bekele is fine with it right now. Blanks, though, still very much in the picture.
24:51 on that blast off by Wildskut. Back into green.
I mean, he's certainly making a move. He is closing it on the lights. But my question is, I mean, he's the only one in this group that doesn't need the standard. Did he go too early? I take that back. Samuel doesn't need the standard either. Either way, is it a little bit too early?
The amount of conservation through 23 laps appears to be paying off as we are now sub 27 pace, and those green lights are going away.
Dude, this is a heavy, heavy move. I mean, we were behind the lights by a margin a lap ago, and Wildskut is hammered, but Samuel and Bekele are up to the task. They come through, 400 meters to go. I think that was a sub 60. Let's see when it comes up on the split. But Samuel, Bekele, Kipkurui, right there. It was a 61-0 by Wildskut. Blanks losing a step or two.
We could see sub 26:50 potentially, as Wildskut crushing it with Habtom Samuel, Bekele, and Kipkurui. 4 on the move. Wildskut 200 to go.
Well, Blanks has officially lost contact, but he's still above the 27-minute pace, under the 27-minute pace, so he still could run 26:55. Wildskut, he's got his own national record at 26:50, and he is hammering here with Samuel, and wow, Kipkurui.
3 wide, and Kipkurui takes off, completely opens up, and absolutely dominates this race. Ishmael Kipkurui sat back and absolutely crushed this field and the collegiate record, 26:50-20.
What an incredible last 100 meters. Kipkurui, the collegian, outkicks Habtom Samuel, who we've always considered to be the best athlete from New Mexico. I mean, he's been runner-up at NCAAs twice behind Graham Blanks, and said, hey, I'm the #1 guy at New Mexico. Look at me, 26:50. Incredible mark. Wildskut doesn't quite have the speed there to hold on. Samuel ends up in second, 26:51. So he's going to miss the collegiate record again. Dang.
So two numbers to consider. A 20-year-old, 55.8 on the last circuit to take the title. A new NCAA record, and he leads 5 under 27 minutes, with Singh at 27 flat 20 in 6th. Habtom Samuel, a new lifetime best in 2nd at 26:51. Wildskut, lifetime best in 26.
No, just 1 second off his lifetime best. That's still going to be the second fastest time ever run by a South African. We've got 5 gentlemen with world standards: Kipkurui, Samuel, Wildskut, Bekele, and Blanks holds on there with that 26:57. What a great last lap. 1:56 on the last 800. Wildskut, I mean, just hammering from the front. But Kipkurui up to the task. That is a name, ladies and gentlemen, that we are going to need to remember, because I expect to see Ishmael Kipkurui on an international stage chasing a medal in no time.
So even after the late start, Bekele with one of the best debuts in history at 26:52. Keep in mind, he was at about the 30-meter mark when the gun went off, something that I didn't know how to comment on at the moment, to be honest. Why are people so far off the back through 200 meters? But it's Bekele, 26:52, and Graham Blanks, an impressive run, carries the race, runs 26:57 in his first 10K as a pro.